Every empire that has ever existed believed it was the exception, the one that wouldn't fall. Rome believed it, the Mongols believed it, the Ottomans, the British, all of them looked unstoppable at their peak. All of them collapsed anyway, not one exception in the entire history of the human species. So let's unravel why every empire follows almost the exact same pattern of collapse, with a cat and some balls of yarn. Imagine one ball of yarn is a small town, self-contained, stable. Now it starts trading with the town next door, and a thread connects them. Do that enough times, enough towns, provinces, and trade routes tied together under one authority. And you don't have a web anymore. You have an empire. The bigger it gets, the more threads it needs just to hold together. Every empire expands for what feels like a good reason. More land means more resources mean more soldiers mean more land. At its height, Rome stretched roughly 2 million square miles. The Mongol Empire at its peak covered 9 million, the largest contiguous land empire in history. But every new ball of yarn adds more than resources. It adds distance. New borders, new peoples, new administrators, all stretching further from the center. Historians call this imperial overstretch, when the cost of holding an empire together outpaces the wealth it produces. Nothing has gone wrong yet, but the math has already turned against it. And it's almost never the center that snaps first. It's the edges. By the 3rd century, a message from Rome could take weeks to reach its frontier. Local governors started acting on their own. Rome saw more than 20 emperors in 50 chaotic years. The Ottoman Empire spent its final century known as the sick man of Europe as its provinces broke away one by one. The British Empire didn't lose its territories all at once. It lost them in a slow unraveling after 2 exhausting world wars. Distance breaks trust. Trust breaks control. Here's the twist. Overstretch alone rarely kills an empire. It just makes it fragile. The final blow usually comes from inside. Wealth concentrates in fewer hands over generations, while ordinary people have less reason to defend a system that no longer serves them. In late Rome, small farmers sank into debt while a shrinking aristocracy held most of the land. Add in a currency quietly losing its value, and you get an empire rich on paper and hollow underneath. Eventually, the whole thing reaches its breaking point, not from one dramatic disaster, on just a system stretched further than it can hold, and hollowed out further than it can absorb. Then something relatively small becomes the final pull on a thread that was already about to give. Rome didn't fall in a day. It took centuries of fraying before the West formally ended in 476. But it must have felt sudden to the people living through it, the way a pile of yarn looks stable right up until the one thread holding it all together gives way. Collapse isn't a failure unique to any one civilization. It's what happens to any system that grows faster than it can hold together, rewards its center while forgetting its edges, and keeps expanding long after expansion stops paying for itself. Every empire in history thought it was the thread that wouldn't break. Maybe the lesson isn't about empires at all. Maybe it's about paying attention to the threads before they fray.